Hello, and welcome back to Concert Critiques in Cars with Emily. I know what you're thinking. I am parked right now. That's because this is the first time I've been to Merriweather since I moved into my new house, and honestly, I didn't know how to get home. So the whole time I had to have my GPS on, and unfortunately, I can't GPS and video at the same time. So anyway, I am super excited about this show. There's a lot to talk about, so let's just get started. So this was AJR. So excited. Was so excited to see them again. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was a little disappointed because I was looking up Boy With You to see if they were coming anytime soon and was so pumped that they were opening for AJR. And I was like, oh my God, Boy With You is opening for AJR. This is going to be a 10. This is going to be awesome. And then I was like, oh wait, they're not going on the tour until after our tour date. So Gayle did a great job, but they just weren't Boy With You, so it's not going to be a 10. Anyway, okay. So Gayle came on with like a slower start, but got heavier pretty quickly. I really liked, like, her voice was like, had that like gravelly quality to it. So I really liked her voice. She talked about how the next song, the second song, was about how dumb her generation was. I actually really enjoyed the lyrics, especially the chorus. And then after that song, she like ran a lap around the stage, which was kind of fun. And then just like jammed on the guitar and said it was about being horny. And the first verse like dropped into a talking part. And so I wonder if that actually happens in the recording. Like, it's only like one or two lines, but she kind of like spoke a little bit of that first verse. So again, that was interesting, and I liked that. And I'm wondering if it's actually on the recording, if it was different for the show. But if it's not in the digital, then yay, that's a good change. So then she put the guitar down, and she like a recorded speaking came on, like a speaker came on. And it was a slower song, but like almost at a rap pace. Like the melody was slower, but the lyrics were like at a like rap pace for the verses. And then she twice throughout the song held like a really high note for a really long time. So that was pretty impressive. Then she like revealed to the audience that she was 17. And so making that third song kind of like, subject matter 17. But yeah, so then she said she's not sure if she's actually ever going to release the song. And it was called That Much. And it started out with just the piano, but again, it had that quick, short lyrics. But then got much heavier for the chorus part. So I liked that. I liked, again, those quick, short lyrics I'm a fan of. So then she sat down at the front of the stage and talked about her EP. And she played a song called Kiddie Pool, which was a slower song, and it started with just the guitar at first, but got heavier for the chorus, but then would come back for the second verse. It came down a little bit, at least for the first half of the second verse. And then she sang the whole song sitting in front of the stage. So then after that, I was going to say the second song. No, sorry. So then the next song was like much heavier with a like very bass heavy start. And again, it was like that quick, short feel to the lyrics in the verse. And, but I wasn't really a huge fan of the instrumentals between the verse and the pre-chorus or the chorus. It just like it seemed really disconnected, especially from the first verse to the first. I don't know if it was technically the chorus or if it was the pre-chorus, but, yeah, it just like really rubbed me the wrong way. It didn't feel like it went together, and I don't know if it was an error, like it should have sounded different, but somebody made a mistake somewhere, or if it was just that's how it sounded. But I did like the song overall. It was just like that moment from verse to like pre-chorus. It was just like weird. It was like almost like I don't know. It was like almost too disconnected. But again, she held a note for a really long time, and it was just like super impressive. Her voice is very impressive. Then the next song, so this is the second song that started with a heavy bass, for the verse with like those quick lyrics, but I didn't actually love the words. But I really enjoyed the instrumental. So I liked the instrumentals of that one. Wasn't a huge fan of the lyrics. She gave tribute to the women who had come before her and allowed her to be, in the position that she's in right now, talking about the things that she's talking about. So she played the Bad Reputation by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts cover. She like slowed down the first, the chorus that's saying that's sung at the beginning of the song, she like really slowed that down and kind of did it in like pieces, and that was really cool. I really liked that rendition of that opener. But then it got like really fast and she just did like a typical cover. So it was fun cover. She did like, she got on her knees and leaned back with the guitar. So that was pretty cool. So I really liked that cover. I thought that was a good choice. The next song, I really liked the pace, the instrumentals, and the lyrics. So that was like a really good 1-2 combo for me because I really liked the cover. I thought that was really well done. And then I really liked that next song. And then she like specifically threw a guitar pick to someone in the crowd, which I thought was kind of cute. And then she sang her big hit, which is ABCDEFU. So that was really like fun to hear live, and she definitely let the crowd sing the main line of the chorus. She did like a back and forth. And then after she left the stage, the band kept playing and the guitarist went over to the drums and started playing the drums with the guitar. So that was cool. Really liked that touch. So again, those last 3 songs I think were a good like 1-2-3 combo for me. There was obviously a few songs that weren't my favorite, but overall I thought it was definitely an interesting set. Really wish it was Boy With You. Sorry, Gayle, nothing against you. I just really wanted to see Boy With You. And then to open for AJR, that would have just been like, but whatever. I hope everyone who's on that leg of the tour enjoys it. Please let me know if you do. Comment. I want to know how it was. I'm so jealous of you. So let's get into AJR, shall we? Because it's going to take a long time because they did so many cool things. Okay, so they opened. Actually, before I get started, let me explain the stage because this is going to come big time in the end and you're going to be confused if I don't. So there are 3 main huge screens on the stage. There's the one in the back behind, you know, where all the action is taking place, normal, typical, whatever. But then there were 2 on the sides. So there was one on each side. And what happened was the screens could close and then open, right? So they could close and then open. So just keep that in mind because that's going to come in quite a bit. So it opened with the black screen, right? So those screens were closed, okay? Or actually they kind of closed the screens. And it kind of had like this like epic music going on. It was pretty awesome. And then these like the letters O and K appeared all over the screen. First they were huge and then they got smaller and tinier, but they were all over. And then this like 3D face like started like poking its like nose out, and then the whole face, and it like started with the beginning, like the beginning of the album, which is technically the overture. And so it started saying those lines, but then it kind of like messed up the lines, obviously on purpose. And it was like, oh wow, there's a lot of tall people here tonight. So like, it was clearly like meant for the show, but I thought that was a really cool way to start it, especially because if they didn't want to actually start with the overture, I thought it was really smart to start that way. Because you still are kind of starting with the overture, but then you're not because you're not actually playing the overture song. So I thought that was a really good way to do it. And it was cool. It looked 3D. It was pretty cool. So then they opened with Bummerland, and they just kind of had the crowd bounce their hands up and down, and definitely some awesome dancing during the bridge. I appreciated that. After that, they went into Karma, which I really enjoyed the instrumentals during the transition and bridge. And then he let the crowd sing the end. The instrumentals during that transition and bridge were just like so good. Then they went into 3 o'clock things, which was so cool. So again, he went up to the back screen, and in front of the back screen is clearly a treadmill. And so he's like walking on the treadmill, but the screen is making it look like he's this like tiny little thing, like walking on like a bookshelf or something. And so that was like really cool. And so, he was like interacting with things like, you know, like a book would close or something would fly by and he would duck or something like that. So that was really cool. I really liked that effect. At one point, like a wine bottle was there, or like champagne bottle, and the cork fell off, and then he like suddenly had a cork in his hand, like he like caught the cork. So that was really cool. And then the woman who was playing the trumpet, who was amazing. She was so good. It makes me mad that I stopped playing the clarinet because I could have been on stage with AJR playing horns or woodwinds or something. But yeah, so she came out and played the trumpet, and it was awesome. After that, they went into Bang, and they had smoke jets during the chorus. But there were no really like major differences from the digital recording version. But again, it's Bang, so there doesn't really need to be a lot of difference because it's just a really fun song. Then they did a mashup, which apparently they don't really ever do, which I guess I kind of have known that because I've seen them enough times. So Ryan explained that when they met Elton John for the first time, that's like what inspired them to do a mashup on stage. And then he talked about how the first time he came up to them and talked about how much they loved their band and he thought they were a different band. And then they got it cleared up in the end. So that was a fun story for sure. And yeah, so that was pretty cool. And the mashup was Dear Winter, and then it went into The Trick. I don't really know like what the definition of a matchup was, and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I felt like he just played the first part of Dear Winter and then went into The Trick. Like, I don't know if there was really like a mashup. I don't know. Please, if I'm wrong, tell me, because I really like genuinely was like, oh, they played like the first verse of Dear Winter, and then like went into the chorus and then just played the end of, or like the second verse of The Trick. So like, if I'm wrong, please tell me, because I really didn't know the difference, and maybe that's just because I haven't listened to The Trick that much, so I'm not really sure. But let me know. So then they played Don't Throw Out My Legos, which it definitely sounded like he sounded like he slightly changed the pacing of the verses, like so subtly, but I was like super into it because I was like, this is like what I want. I just want those little tiny, like held a little bit, sang a little bit longer, stop, just like a quick pause between certain like lines. Like, I'm pretty sure he did that, and I like love that. So then Jack ran behind the drums and started playing the drums, which was pretty cool. After that, they played Ordinary-ish People, which oh my gosh, guys. Oh, so there was like a pedestal in front of the stage, in the middle of the stage, with a sound machine on it. And so yeah, guys. Oh, so then, okay, so that was, sorry, I'm ruining this because Ordinary People is so awesome. So there was like a little like podium with like the noise machine on it. So that's what Jack was playing in the front. So then Ryan and Adam went to the screen in the back, and they each had a single drum, and so they were playing it, and like it was interacting with light, and it was so cool. It was so cool. It was like they were playing, and like light or color was splashing on the screen, and then like it was just so cool. I can't even describe it because it would take me way too long, but it was just awesome. It was so cool. Like at one point it turned into a ball, and they were passing the ball back and forth. Like, it was just so cool. So anyway, then at the end of that, intermission came on the screen, and then it said, just kidding, no one wants that. So I appreciate that they understand that we don't really love intermissions, guys. We love music and whatever. But then they kind of did an intermission because they were like, well, this is the part of the show, and we do this every show, where they interact with the crowd. And so they were like looking for people with cool signs or whatever. And so the first thing they did was they pulled up a flag on stage, and it was a picture of Gibby from iCarly. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry, iCarly fans. Then there was a dog in the crowd, so they were like, that's like a legit dog. And then they asked people to take off their hats so that Ryan could find a hat finally, but it was a pink cowboy hat that lit up, so that was pretty fun. And then after that, they talked about the history of like how they became a band, and then also actually it was really cool because they talked about the history before they talked about their history of like playing in New York City, parks in New York City. They talked about their history of playing in this area, right? So DC, Maryland, Virginia. And so I actually like really appreciated that because it's just like, it was just like a really fun like trip through memory lane, although they didn't mention any shows that they were openers for, because I was like, well, you forgot this show and that show and this show. But then I also don't think they included the one in Baltimore, did they?
No,
I don't think they did. Yeah, so there's definitely one in Baltimore that we went to that they didn't include, which is fine. Listen, it's all good. But I just thought it was cool that they like took the time to kind of like, I mean, I'm assuming they probably looked through some history thing. They didn't just remember it off the top of their heads, but it was nice that they like took the time to actually say like, well, we came here and then we came here. So I liked that. That was cool. And then they talked about their history of New York City, and they went into 100 Bad Days. And there were definitely some subtle changes in the second verse, and it was so fantastic. And then the trumpet player, she came. Arnetta, she came back to the front. I'm not going to remember that, but I'm going to try to. She came back to the front and like danced with Jack. Like they had like the little like choreographed dance for a second. So that was really cool. So then Arnetta stayed on the stage and went to the back screen and was walking on the treadmill. And so the names of the songs would pop up, and as they would pop up, she would play that song on the trumpet. So these are the songs. Next Up Forever, Then Was Netflix Trip, Birthday Party, Record Player, The Green and the Town, I'm Ready, Break My Face, Christmas in June, and then Turning Out. But when Turning Out came on, it like changed a little bit, and there were like 3 turning outs like on the screen, and then Turning Out started raining. And actually she wasn't playing Turning Out at first. And then she was just like walking, and then when it got to the second time for the chorus, that's when she started playing the trumpet. And then so that was like really cool. So then Ryan came out with his keyboard in the front, and there were like desks in the back, and people were sitting at the desks with their head on the desks. And so they played Joe.
Well, did you notice that the clock was at 3:30?
Oh, I didn't.
And they had on the screen there was a classroom, and the clock was at 3:30.
I did not notice that.
I see what they did there.
Because it's 3:30. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, the student sitting in the front was a beatboxer, Kenny Urban. So that was really cool. That was really, really, really cool. I really liked that song. I thought that was a really interesting way to present the song. And then he changed the lyrics to I play shows in DC now, or DC 2, sorry. So obviously that was a fun little addition. So then everyone came back out on stage, and Jack introduced it as a song that you've never heard before. It had like a quick short feel during the verse, which I loved. I really, really liked that. And then I really liked the lyrics of the bridge. So I am so pumped for the song to come out. I cannot wait. He did not say the name. At least I didn't hear it if he did. But I'm super excited for it. And of course, obviously a new song is always fun to hear live. And I can't wait to hear what it sounds like, the recorded version. So I'm really looking forward to that. So then all 5 of the members, and when I mean all 5, I mean the 3 brothers and then the drummer and the trumpet player, they all kind of came to the front and made like a semicircle around the podium with the noise machine on it. And they played the world's smallest violin. And so they all like stood there, and they each had an instrument. There was the ukes, one of them had the guitar, one of them had the trumpet, obviously, the drummer had the drum, and then the bass. So yeah, it was awesome. I just like really liked it. I thought that was like a fun way to do that song, especially since it's like slower. But yeah, so I just like love the end of that song, and I thought it was really well done. All right. So then after that, they played Humpty Dumpty. Super fun song. Really love the lyrics in the chorus. But again, like, I don't know. I have not listened to that song enough to know if there were any subtle changes, but again, it was fun to see, and I'm glad I got to see it. So then they introduced the drummer and the trumpet player, and then Ryan showed how they produced a song. And so obviously you don't know what song it is from the beginning, and so I'm not going to reveal it yet. But they start with like the beat of the drum, and then they kind of add things here and there. And even when they were adding things, I was really trying to figure out which song it was, and I kind of couldn't. And then even when they kind of did the reveal, I was still like, is it that song? It was weak, guys. Oh, it was so good. It was just so good. I'm so glad that I didn't realize what song it was until like almost the bitter end. I mean, the bitter end as in like the bitter end of the production thing. Once they started playing the song, I obviously knew what song it was. That's my jam. So I was so excited. So good. I was so glad that they played it. I feel like at some point they're not gonna stop playing that because it's like not super popular, but I just want them to always play it because it's like such a significant song to me. It's so good. I just loved it, and it was just so good. So then after that, they killed it. And by killed it, I mean not in a good way. Not like they killed it. Like they killed it. They played the good part, which, listen, love the lyrics of that song. The instrumentals are not my favorite. It just like could have gone anywhere else but After a Week. Like literally anywhere else except for After a Week. It really, really just like, So that was my low of their set for sure. Cause then like, okay, so then after that, like all these crazy cool things happen. And it's like, really? You had to play good part right after week, right before all this cool stuff happens? Ugh. Okay. So after they played the good part, which, yeah. So after they played the good part, the screens on the side start to pull forward, but not all the way so they're closed, just like a little gap in between. So as he was singing, Burn the House Down, like he would go put an arm through, and anytime he put his arm through the screen, what would show up on the screen was like his arm, but it was like blue, like it was like lit up blue. So it was like a blue, like cartoonish version, I guess, of whatever was happening behind the screen. So, okay. So then, like, throughout the song, you know, first it was just his arm, then it was his head, and then he kind of came back out, and then he went and put his whole body behind the screen. And when he was behind the screen, you, like, hear this sound like he's blowing, like, a balloon up, and it's his head. So then when he comes out, he has this huge, like, jack head on his head. And so then, like, he came out, kind of danced a little bit, and then he went back to, like, the center where that gap was. And so he took his shoe off and threw his shoe to the left. And then all of a sudden he caught his shoe from the right. So it was like you saw the shoe go in, it like disappeared, and then it appeared from the other side. So he did that twice. And then he asked for the trumpet, and he did the trumpet. And then he himself jumped, and then he appeared from the right. And then he took his big giant head off, and it was Jack. How did he do that, guys? I know how he did, but it was great. It was such a cool thing. It was awesome.
Magic of Jack.
It was really fun. I really loved that. Like, it's definitely like 21 Pilots-esque in terms of like Tyler suddenly popping up somewhere. So I really loved that. It definitely like was just such a fun thing. And again, so fun. So fun. So I really love that. Wish it had come after a different song, but it was awesome. So then they all came back out and they played Sober Up. There was Ryan had the uke, Jack had the acoustic guitar, and then Adam had the bass. And yeah, so then what I really loved is Ryan was doing the bridge, and he definitely subtly changed the pace. Like there was just like a moment where I was like, yep, that was different. Like I could, yep, that was different. So I really loved that. And then I'm pretty sure that Jack then changed the chorus that came right after the bridge. So I was like, oh, what a good 1-2 combo. I really loved that. And then again, Sober Up is just such a fun song. And then after that, they ended with Way Less Sad. There was this like do not push button. And hold on, let me just make sure. Yeah, okay. So there was this do not push button on the screen for pretty much the entire show. It was before the show, it was between the sets, and it was like throughout the show it would appear on the screen, the back screen every now and then. So they actually stopped Sober Up like they stopped Way Less Sad right at the end. Or right before the end. Like they just like kind of stopped in the middle, like after the bridge and stuff, like towards the end. And so then Jack talked about being diagnosed with OCD and how, you know, basically his whole day is like the do not push button, right? And so then he's like, well, we can push it and see what happens, or we cannot push it. And so the screen in the background during Sober Up, no, sorry. During Way Less Sad was like water, and like you kept kind of seeing instruments like kind of come in and come out of the water. And so he was talking about how it feels like he's like drowning and he's like under the water. So he's like, well, maybe if I push the do not push button, it will like, I won't feel like I'm drowning anymore. So he pushes the do not push button, and the screens come together on the stage. And, so then it like, okay, so the screens come together, streamers are released, right? And so then like, it makes it seem like the glass is shattered or something, and water starts to like poke through. So then like the screens open up and Jack is soaking wet. And the other band members are soaking wet. And like it was awesome because before they came out, oh sorry, I forgot to mention this. So before they came out, when the screens were closed, it made it look like they were like swimming and playing their instruments at the same time. It was a really cool effect. And then once it opened and they came back out on stage, they were all wet, like as if they were really swimming. Guys, it was so cool. So cool. Yeah, and then the show ended, they kind of finished the song up, and it was awesome. It was so awesome. It was so awesome. Oh, I forgot to mention when the song, they finished the song. They did finish the song. But it was wonderful. Okay, so score-wise, oh my gosh, guys, this is rough. Okay, so I liked Gayle. I thought she was a very impressive singer. There were definitely some songs that I didn't love, but then also hearing A, B, C, D, E, F, U was also really cool. AJR pretty much, literally, I have no complaint except for playing the good part right after week. Like, and again, it's not even that I don't love the instrumentals of that song, but if they had moved it anywhere else, I would have been, like, it wouldn't have, I don't even think I wouldn't have mentioned that I don't love the instrumentals of that song. Like, it was a good song, it's fun to see live, but it's just right after you do this, like, epic week, and then you go into, like, that's the only complaint. Other than that, amazing. The effects were super cool. The interaction with the screen was amazing. And, you know, just that being able to close that and kind of do stuff behind the screens was awesome. Man, this is a tough one. Ugh, so tough. Because I want to give credit where credit is due. But then I also like Gayle. And then that one part of AJR set. I'm going to give this one 9.6. 9.6. I think that's fair. I feel like I'm maybe giving a little too much credit. Well, whatever. It is what it is. Please let me know if you agree. If you don't agree, please let me know. I also want to know. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time. But I am going to add this quick just because. So we did the dodgeball and the masterclass and like the questions/picture thing before the show. Man, that was so cool. So cool. So my suggestion is if you have the opportunity to get that VIP package, that you get it. If I was keeping tabs on that in and of itself was, that was awesome. That was pretty cool. But yeah, so I think maybe that would bump my score up to like a 9.7 if I was doing it all together. But 9.6 for the concert itself, separate from the VIP thing. But definitely fun. Definitely do it if you can. But yeah, guys, I played dodgeball with AJR. So cool. I'm so cool. I'm just kidding. I'm not, but I am. All right. Anyway, like
Jack gave you a high five.
I know, guys. I got high fived by Jack because I touched the ball, like it flew out of my hand, and then he caught it, so I wasn't out, and he saved me. And it was like that. He was like, that was an epic play, and I was like, I know, dude. It was great. So it was really fun. Anyway, let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.